Lilies and Lilacs, Episode 15, The Mask Removed.
There she is. Finally where I want her.
Mayor JdSarte stared out through his office window, his attention squarely on the white full moon in the middle of the star-filled sky. A wide smile was on his face, and a dark fire flickered in his heart. Or rather, in the heart of this vessel. Town Hall was locked up tight with only himself and his pathetic underling in this building. Mayor JdSarte glanced back into the room and marveled at his work. Bright yellow painted runes were along the walls, ceilings, and floors. The underling, whose name Mayor JdSarte never bothered to remember, lay on the flat of the desk, with his arms and legs bound and his mouth gagged. The weak human trembled where he lay, and his wide eyes stared at the mayor for mercy or perhaps understanding. This wretch would find none. Mayor JdSarte walked over to the little old man, and he placed a hand on the underling's forehead.
Almighty Moravec, Lord of all shadow demons, I offer this measly morsel to you to initiate your coming. I further offer you this city and all who live here to be consumed by you. Let the Feast of Shadows begin!
Mayor JdSarte began chanting in his native tongue, one that made the poor human wriggle with dreaded terror.
Ajna durpatu, ajna gimpatu, ajna thrakatu, apu samishi krimpatu, ajna durpatu, ajna gimpatu, ajna thrakatu, apu samishi krimpatu, ajna durpatu, ajna gimpatu, ajna thrakatu, apu samishi krimpatu, ajna durpatu, ajna gimpatu, ajna thrakatu, apu samishi krimpatu.
The yellow runes began glowing, and Mayor JdSarte turned his attention to the moon outside, all while continuing to chant. A solid black and brown shimmering ring of energy outlined the moon, and the ring stood out against the night's sky. The man on the desk writhed as shadows of the room began creeping toward him. Demonic shadow silhouette claws gripped his body, holding him in place. A pair of spiked needles swirled over his face and then jabbed him in the eyes. The man howled with his gagged mouth, but it became muted as his whole body became covered in shadow. The moon became completely coated in the sparkling dark energy, and suddenly a massive dome of the same hued magic arced over the whole of the city. It became impossibly dark, aside from the building lights. The binds on the man snapped, and a figure rose up from the desk. Mayor JdSarte kneeled before the entity. The figure had dark gray skin and a muscular form. It had clawed hands and feet with a fine brown cloth around its waist. Tentacles extended off of its skull like wriggling dreadlocks. It had large, oval black eyes, no nose, and a maul of sharp teeth.
Welcome, O great avatar of Moravec. I, Klarvix, have prepared the feasting ground.
The avatar took a deep breath and then flexed its arms.
The host body is weak, but it will do for now. Should the feast be completed, you will be rewarded. Come, let us take a look at the feast.
Mayor JdSarte rose and followed the avatar out through the front doors of the town hall. There, a large crowd was gathered, including much of the city guards. As they saw Mayor JdSarte beside the avatar, many people screamed. The mayor simply smiled.
Mayor, what's going on? Why are you with that thing?
Why? Because you're all going to die and bring glory to Loravec, the Lord of all shadows!
The avatar extended its clawed hands, and from dark shadow patches, hounds of Loravec crawled out from the other dimension. Each of the hounds were four-legged, had thick dark gray skin, black eyes, and mauls of sharp teeth. The mayor laughed as the hounds ran people down, biting them and dragging them back to the avatar. The avatar grabbed each of the screaming humans and then bit into their faces. As it tore its head back, in addition to chunks of flesh, the person's soul was tangled within its jaws. As soon as the swirling sphere of light was free from the body, the avatar tossed what remained to the ground. The corpse wriggled, transformed, and became a new Hound of Loravec. The avatar crunched the face meat and the soul loudly, swallowed, and then grabbed the next human.
Go forth! Feed the avatar of Loravec!
The hounds ran through the streets of Autonomous.
This way, everyone! Don't worry. Lilies and Lilacs is a designated safe zone.
Tessica, Buck, and Zeddy stood out front of her tavern, and Tessica waved people who ran toward her. Droves of locals had come to her tavern, scared, for the tales of grim horror rippled through the masses. After the fog incident, Tessica had placed several special orders with Noswald. Based on the same concept as the medallions that Tessica and the staff wore, Noswald created larger seals that kept the shadow demon dog things away from the tavern. Likewise, the dogs avoided Tessica, Zeddy, and Buck, who wore the medallions. A mother clutching her child ran toward Tessica and the others, but a monster was on her tail. Buck carried her morning star, Zeddy fought with her fists and feet, and Tessica, well, Tessica had a really nice, magical cast iron frying pan her father had given her once. No matter what, the pan wouldn't break, rust, or overheat on the handle. Tessica charged the monster.
Leave her alone!
The monster dog stopped and snarled at Tessica, right until she clocked it with the pan. It screeched as it tumbled back. By the time it got back on its feet, Buck crunched its head with her morning star. It crumbled into dust moments later. The mother stopped in front of Tessica.
Thank you. Oh, goddess. They dragged away our neighbors. I thought we were going to die.
Don't worry. You'll be safe here. We have some powerful adventurers inside, as well as my friends here to watch the front. Seek out Mordon. He'll get you fed.
Oh, thank you. We're so lucky to have you in our community.
The woman went inside and Tessica peered into the darkness.
I know this is serious, but I still can't believe you're fighting with that frying pan. It's so fantastic. You should really consider becoming an adventurer. You'd be a legend.
If I did, who would keep you two employed? Buck, Zeddy, seriously, I'm grateful for the both of you. With your help, we can keep these people safe.
It's not just us. No, you're the one who leapt into the front and yelled out, "Come to Lilies and Lilacs, it's safe!" And you're out here with us, too.
Well, I couldn't sit by and do nothing. This is my community, too.
What are you three doing out here? Is that a frying pan?
Levin emerged from the shadows with 5 other guards behind him.
What does it look like I'm doing? I'm bonking the shit out of evil demon dogs while the other 2 kill them off. L&L is safe because of the enchantments that we have installed, so tell people it's safe here. We have enough room in all the rooms in the cellar that we can safeguard another 200 people.
That's very kind of you. Unfortunately, we're nearly overrun with these monsters, and they keep dragging citizens to the center of town.
Levin, is it really true? People are saying the mayor is helping the monster that's eating people.
Levin averted his eyes for a moment, but then he sighed.
Yeah, it's true. Apparently the monster is somehow connected to Lorvok or whatever.
Wait. Lorvok, the Lord of Shadow Demons. That actually makes so much sense. The temple we were hunting for in the woodlands was also connected to Lorvok.
Levin paused for a moment and then reviewed Bach with a keen eye.
Wait, you're a cleric, aren't you? Can't you or your goddess do something to help?
I wish I could, but something weird is going on. My magic is only half as effective as normal, and the beasts are oddly resistant to any of my divine spells. It may have something to do with the moon, or the monster, but I'm not sure.
Okay, I have a question. What's the plan? It looks like we're being trapped here.
We are. The black dome around the city limits is impenetrable. As for what we're trying to do, I've spread the word that the city guards tell everyone to bar their doors and windows and stay out of the shadows. There's only one thing I can think of to end this.
Which is...
I'm going to summon all of the remaining city guards and any able-bodied persons to help me retake the town hall.
Wait, so you're going to attack the monster directly?
That's the plan. Maybe if we kill it, this thing will end.
That sounds especially dangerous. Like, experienced adventurer level of danger.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. In the business, we like to call what you're thinking about doing as a boss fight.
I don't care how dangerous it is. I'm willing to lay my life on the line to save the people. I have to be the one to lead the city guard.
But what about the commander?
Levin groaned and he lowered his gaze for a brief moment.
Technically, I am the current commander. Something happened to Commander Porty.
Did she die?
Yes, and, well, maybe something even worse. She's been off ever since the paladins disappeared, but today... she wasn't dragged off by the monsters. One of the guards said she walked right up to the boss monster and willingly allowed herself to be devoured.
Oh, that's terrible. It sounds like her mind was gone.
Yes, it is terrible.
The sound of galloping thundered toward them, and Levin maneuvered in front of Tessica. Tessica held her frying pan in preparation. The city guards, Bach and Zeddy, also got ready to strike. Faunico rode a horse, pulling a cart, and Noswald was in the back of the cart, holding a glowing staff.
Fanica, Noswald, you're alive.
Faunico dismounted after she stopped the horse in front of the tavern.
Of course we are. Nos had made more than enough items, weapons, and such to keep our shop safe. I figured that you'd be letting people use L&L as a safe zone.
Noswald got out of the cart.
We would have been here sooner, but we stopped at the other taverns. They're also protecting people. Hi, Zeddy.
Hi, Noswald.
So, does anyone have a plan to stop whatever's happening to our city?
Yes. I'm going to assault the town hall and try to kill the monster there. You all stay safe here. And if we fail, please know I did my best.
Tessica stomped up to Levin and poked him in the armor.
No, that's not good enough. You have to win, and you have to come back alive. You're the commander of the city guard now, so that means everyone is counting on you.
You're the commander now? Nas, do you mind if I...
Outfit him and the others! That's fine. If I said no, you just browbeat me into it anyway.
I'm coming too.
So am I.
No, neither of you are. You two have to stay behind and protect these people here in case we fail. They need you more than us.
Zeddy and Bach frowned, but then both nodded.
I will take any items you can offer. This will be my first boss fight.
Noswald gestured to the cart.
Please, take what you need. And good luck.
It was strange seeing Autumn Bliss this dark. This was his home, where Levin was born, where he played as a child, where he married, and where he outlived his wife and daughter. A large globe of brilliant light surrounded the small group of city guards as they strolled down the avenue. One of the guards held a sort of wand that exuded light. Whenever the shadow monsters entered the light, their skin sizzled, and Levin and the others were able to kill them. Levin halted his small group of city guards several blocks away from the avenue leading directly to Town Hall. Levin took out his whistle.
We'll blow it, but we'll also be ready to slay any of the monsters who come our way. Once we have as many of our fellow guards and adventurers as possible, we'll do our best to take the town hall. Are you ready?
The other 5 nodded. Levin brought the whistle to his lips and blew. The high-pitched whine danced on the still air, and when he needed another breath, Levin inhaled and blew again. The other guards blew their whistles too. Levin's stomach gurgled as a dozen horrid monster dogs rushed the illuminated area. He put his own whistle back in his pocket.
Keep blowing! Some of you defend the whistleblowers!
The monstrous hounds entered the light, despite their burning skin. Levin leapt to meet them. In the distance, from multiple places, groups of whistles resonated. Levin's group continued to blow theirs as the monsters rushed the group.
Keep blowing! Let all of Autumn Bliss know that the city guard is here for them!
Levin drove his spear into another monster, and he let out a triumphant battle cry. Within minutes, a few dozen city guards collected where Levin's group defended. Many of the people stared at him with weepy eyes, and they all clutched their spears or weapons for dear life. None of the monsters were in sight for the moment.
Listen up, everyone. As some of you know, Commander Porty was eaten by a monster.
Some of the guards who didn't know had small, aghast reactions.
As it stands, I am the acting commander until a new replacement can be chosen. I know this is scary as hell, and this isn't exactly what you all signed up for, but I need you. Autumn Bliss needs you. Here's what I'm going to do, and I'd like your help.
Levin paused as he gazed at all of their faces. The insistence and urgency was so thick, it was almost choking him.
In order to stop this catastrophe, I feel we need to kill the main monster. The boss monster.
The others began to whisper, "Boss monster," among themselves.
Now, I realize the concept of boss monster is terrifying, but you can leave that bastard to me. Just get me there, and I promise I'll do my best to protect you all. Please, will you lend me your strength?
One by one, each of the city guards nodded.
Great! Thank you! Let's go take our city back!
Levin took the lead, and as he did, he blew his whistle loudly. Collectively, other guards did it as well. While perhaps in other circumstances it was unwise to alert the enemy of their coming, the whistles were not for the monsters. Until his dying breath, Levin would always stand for his people. As they made their way toward Town Hall, both adventurers and other city guard patrols joined their ranks. By the time they entered the square before Town Hall, there was a small force of close to 70 joined together. Mayor JdSarte stood on the steps of Town Hall, and beside him was a massive, horrid monster. There were also hundreds of dark, nightmarish hounds before the Town Hall in the street. The giant monster had dark gray skin, no nose, a mouth full of teeth, and a bulging stomach. It must have been 12 feet tall. Mayor JdSarte grinned evilly at Levin and the others.
Look, master! The feast has been brought to you!
The humongous monster raised a clawed hand and roared.
Charge!
The city guard and monsters rushed on like opposing waves. Levin's spear shot forth, and then he jabbed it into one of the hounds. Others around him slashed and swung. Magical beams zipped forth, and they struck the massive monster, all while fireballs exploded within the large group of monster hounds. Levin's arms kept pumping, and he parried and stomped chomp attempts from the minions. The giant monster closed the distance and reached out to grab the city guardsman. As it tried to do so, 3 adventurers hacked and slashed, which caused the monster to pull back. The monster roared and gestured with its hand. Suddenly, the shadow hounds all stopped, and they started to break away from Levin and the many others. Their flesh began to glow with a sort of blackened light, and they all melted into the shadow. The shadows swirled together, and then a massive sphere rose up from the ground. Levin held his spear at the ready, and he and all of the other city guards watched with grim fascination. 6 ominous figures, smaller versions of the massive monster, exited the sphere. As soon as the last one was out, the sphere disappeared. United as one, the 6 monsters and the boss monster charged into the fray. Levin parried the clawed hands of one of the monster minions, and when Levin stabbed it in the stomach, the monster slammed its clenched fists against Levin's weapon. It shattered in 2. The end of Levin's spear was lodged in its stomach, and black blood seeped out, but the monster appeared unbothered. An adventurer hopped in front of Levin and started twirling his axes at it. A woman screamed, and Levin looked to the boss monster. The woman it had grabbed dropped her longsword, and she struggled to get free. Levin rushed over to the sword, and he was about to toss it at the adventurer. The boss monster bit into her face, and it tore flesh and glowing energy from the woman's wriggling body.
You bastard! No more! No more lives!
Levin gripped the sword handle and charged the monster. It swung at him, but Levin bobbed past its claw and slashed its body. The blade carved a groove in its flesh, and black ichor seeped out. The monster tried to backhand Levin, but Levin twirled inward closer to the monster's body. He blocked with the blade and nicked the monster again. A lightning bolt zapped into its side, and the monster turned its attention to the distant mage for a moment. Levin slid to the side of the monster, and he swung as hard as he could. All of his rage, his devotion to the city, his sense of duty, filtered into the sword. The blade connected with the creature's calf, and it got stuck halfway through it. However, the force was so great that it made the monster flip on its back. Levin freed his blade.
Behind you!
Levin ducked without looking, and a savage claw whooshed over his head. Levin spun around and cleaved off one of the monster minions' heads. Dread gripped him, for the remaining 3 other monsters were charging him. One of the city guards tossed his spear at one of the monster's legs, and it tripped the monster to the ground. Several adventurers and city guards went to stab at it. An adventurer lashed his whip to loop around the second one's neck and stopped it in place. The last one kicked at Levin with a front kick. Levin sidestepped, and upward vertical slashed the monster's leg off. The boss monster grabbed Levin by the leather armor and lifted him closer to its maw. However, Levin blocked the maw with a sword. The boss monster screamed and then threw Levin against the ground. Searing pain erupted from Levin's senses. Once more, the monster tried to bite Levin's face. With all of his might, Levin swung his sword at the monster's cheek. The blade bit into the boss monster's face, and it got stuck.
Die, you horrid monstrosity. Leave our town alone.
Another adventurer slammed an axe into the boss's weakened calf, and it fell to the ground. Levin twisted the sword and used his own body weight to make sure that the monster was on his back. He pulled the sword free, but the monster's clawed hands raked against Levin's chest. He wasn't damaged, but his leather armor was ruined. Levin raised his sword up and then stabbed it down on the monster's nose. The blade went down several inches deep. The boss monster howled and tried to reach for Levin, but other adventurers pinned his arms down. Levin started pushing down on the sword in hopes to make it go deeper. Other city guards started pushing down on it too by applying pressure and support on Levin's arms and hands. A few adventurers and city guards started stabbing the monster in the eyes. The sword Levin used struck something hard, probably the ground, and the monster wriggled wildly. The black dome over Autumn Bliss opened up and it began disappearing, from the top going to the bottom. The sun started to rise over the horizon. Levin kept his hand on the sword hilt while he pulled out the whistle. After a large intake of air, he blew on the whistle. A series of whistles danced on the air, probably coming from the site of the battle. Immense fright flared up and down Mayor JdSarte's insides as he turned another corner down a back alley. Against all odds, the avatar of Lorvok had been defeated. It wasn't supposed to be this way. Everyone was supposed to be consumed. Lorvok would not look kindly on this failure. What was he going to do? Mayor JdSarte turned another corner but then stopped as someone blocked his path. The cleric of the goddess of madness smirked at him. He tried to turn and run the other way, but a hand gripped his shoulder. Ogre strength squeezed, and his frail human bones snapped. Anguish blinded his senses, and in the span of a breath, Mayor JdSarte found himself pinned to the ground. The cleric straddled him like a lover. One of the hands gripped his throat, while the other lay open-palmed against his chest.
Foolish worm of Lorvok, your plot failed. And now, your weak excuse for a god will punish you for your ineptitude. Don't fret. Thalfagas will overcome where you have not.
Please spare me!
For a long moment, the cleric grinned at him, and then her body began to glow.
No.